Hi everyone! Today I am going to demonstrate how to sew on a button. This is a really important skill that you'll need to know how to do for the rest of your life. So let's get started. So today I'm going to be showing you how to sew on 3 different types of buttons. The first type is called a 2-hole button, and this is a rather large one because it works well for the demonstration. But normally you probably have a smaller button than this, but you'll use the same technique. This is called a 4-hole button. Obviously it has 4 holes. And this is called a shank button because it has a little loop in the back. And I'll show you how to sew on all 3 types of buttons. Okay, so let's get started. The first step is to get that arm's length of thread. So I'm going to stretch out my arms, both arms all the way out. And then I'm going to cut that with a pair of shears so I have a nice sharp point on my thread. And then I'm going to thread the needle. Now you know I like to get a little bit of wax on my finger and then get some of that wax on the end of the thread just to make it easier to go through the eye. Have just a little bit of thread peeking out and push it through the eye of the needle. Okay, and then I'm going to bring both ends so they're even. So I have a double thread. The thread goes up through the needle and back down. And now I'm going to tie the knot. Get both ends even. Go and get some more wax on my finger to help tie that knot. I'm going to wrap it around my finger gently about 3 times. Roll it and twist it off my finger. And then grab it and pull down. And that gives me a nice big knot. Okay. All right. To demonstrate, I'm going to sew these buttons on a piece of felt. So let's say I wanted to put the 2-hole button right here. What I would do is I would come up from the bottom because I don't want this knot to show on the front of my shirt or pants or whatever I'm sewing it onto. So I'd come up from the bottom and just kind of keep poking it around until you find the buttonhole and pull it through and then go down right across from it. And that is 1 stitch. Now don't pull this real tight. Keep it a little, just pull it gently, keep it a little bit loose. And normally I tell you to pull every stitch tight when we're sewing, but with a button, you want it to be a little bit looser. So I came up in that first hole again, and I'm gonna go down right across from it in that second hole. Now that's 2 stitches. And then I'm gonna come up again in that first hole, go down in the other hole. That's 3 stitches. And we'll do 1 more. I like to do 4 just to keep it nice and secure. All right. Now, this next step is called wrapping it to make a shank. So what I do is I kind of bend the button back like this. I come up from the bottom, right there, real close to where my stitches are, and I wrap it 2 times around. Pull it real tight while you do this. Pull that button in place. There we go, 2 times. That just kind of helps to lift the button away from the fabric. It makes it easier to go through the buttonhole. And then we'll go back down to the back, right there. Okay, so now my button is on nice and secure. I'm going to turn it over to the back and I'm going to tie the knot. Now I'm going to tie the knot the same way I did. This fly is driving me crazy. We're just going to keep on going. I'm going to tie a little knot on the back the same way I did when we were stitching our sewing projects. But I need to make sure I hide this knot under the button. So here's the button. I want to hide the knot somewhere in here. And I'm going to do that 1, 2, 3 stitches on top of each other technique that I've showed you before. So there's 1, 2, 3 stitches on top of each other. And on the last one, I'm going to put it through the loop and pull it tight. And that ties a nice tight knot. And then I can cut that off with my shears. And I've got the first button done. All right. Now to the second button, the 4-hole button. I'll take the thread out. I'm gonna get another nice long piece. I'm gonna go arm to arm. Oops. There we go, arm to arm. So a double arm's length. Cut it with my shears. I'm gonna get some wax on my finger, wipe that on the end of my thread, help it go through the eye of the needle. And we'll push it through. There we go. And I'm gonna get both ends so they're even, of course. So I've got a double thread, goes up through the needle, back down. Got my 2 ends here. I'm gonna get a little more wax on my finger. Wrap it around 1, 2, 3 times loosely. I'm gonna twist it and roll it off my finger and grab it and pull down. Great, nice big knot. And now I'm gonna work on the 4-hole button. Okay, so let's say that I wanted to sew the 4-hole button right here. Again, I do not want this ugly knot to show on the front. So what I'm gonna do is come up from the bottom in that first hole right here. And then I'm gonna go down in the hole right across from it. And I'm gonna sew that stitch 3 times. There's 1, there's 2, and there's 3 on that side. And I'll do 4, 1 more. And then I'm gonna come over here and do 4 on this side. So I've just done 4 here, and now I'm gonna do 4 here. Again, come up from the bottom, down. There's 1 stitch. There's 2. There's 3. And 4 with the up and down. And then I'm gonna wrap that shank again so it makes it a little looser to be able to go through the buttonhole. So kind of bend your button back, come up from the bottom, and you're gonna wrap it around twice. And try to do this with a tight grip. There's 1, and there's 2. Hold it, we're gonna go back to the back. We do not want to tie our knot on the front, that would be ugly. So we're gonna go to the back, and we're gonna do that 1, 2, 3 stitches on top of each other like I've showed you before to tie off. So make sure, here's the button, make sure you're under the button so it doesn't show. There's 1, 2, 3 stitches on top of each other, and then put it through the loop and pull it tight. And then I'm going to cut that with my shears. And now I've got the second button on. All right, we're almost done. I just have 1 more button to show you. That's the shank button, okay? Actually, I think this is probably the easiest and quickest one. All right, I'm gonna get 1 more piece of thread. So I'm gonna get my arm's length of thread, of course, like I always do, arm to arm. I'm gonna cut it with shears. A little bit of wax on my finger. And get some of that wax on the end of the thread. And I'm gonna go ahead and thread the needle. And I'm gonna bring both ends so they're even. My thread goes down through the needle, back up. I've got the 2 even ends here. That's good. A little more wax here to tie the knot. Remember, I'm going to wrap it 1, 2, 3 times around loosely. Roll it off my finger, twist, twist, twist. Grab it and pull down. Now this one's, the shank button is pretty easy. What we're going to do, let's say we wanted to put the shank button right there. So they're all 3 in a row. I hold it where I want it, and I come up from the bottom. Because remember, I always want that knot on the bottom so it doesn't show. Come up, simply go through the shank, which is right there, the little loop in the back, and go down. That's 1. Come up, go through the loop in the back, and go down. That's 2. up, go through the loop in the back, and go down. That's 3, and you know I like to do each one 4 times just for a little extra security. Come up, go through the loop, just get that out there, and go back down, and we're ready to tie off, to tie our knot. Of course, we go to the back. I want to see where that button is. It's right there, so I'm going to go under it so I can't see my knot from the front. And I'm just going to go 1, 2, 3 stitches on top of each other. Remember, on that third one, put it through the loop and pull it tight. And I can cut that off with my shears. And I've sewn on my 3 buttons. So I hope that you, the next time that you have a button come off your shirt or another piece of clothing, you don't throw it in the garbage, you just sew it on yourself. All right, thanks for watching.